Hi, I'm Pastor Emily Twitey from Lutheran Campus Ministry in Madison, Wisconsin. Today, it's one of the last nice days in fall before it gets cold here in Wisconsin, and I wanted to tell you about one of my favorite prayer practices to do this time of year. I also have a helper today. That's Olive, our dog. I don't know if she's very good at praying, but she's very good at walking, which is what I wanted to talk about. Going on a prayer walk is a great way to connect with God and also just get a breath of literal fresh air in the middle of your day. A prayer walk for me is often a time of intercessory prayer. Intercessory prayer just means that you're praying for other people or for other things. It's a way of lifting up things before God that might need God's help. So today I'm in Orton Park, a park near my house, and I'm going for a walk around the neighborhood. During my walk today, I might see neighbors or friends who I could pray for. I might also see strangers who look like they're going through particular issues that I could pray for. When I walk by the school in my neighborhood, I'll probably pray for parents and students who are at home together during this pandemic. And maybe if I walk by the grocery store, I'll give thanks to God for all of the food that we have to eat and also pray for those who are hungry. So I'm going to go ahead and get going, and I'll make some little videos along the way. Thanks for joining me. Well, a bus just went by. You might have noticed how Olive started lunging at it. She doesn't like buses very much. And I realized I haven't been on a bus since the pandemic started. So I just took a second to stop and pause and give thanks for all of the people who are still riding the bus to work every day, especially for bus drivers who have to work in a difficult environment, and for all essential workers in this difficult time. Well, I'm just passing Luke House behind me, which is a community meal program for people who are food insecure in our neighborhood. And in a few minutes here, I'm also going to walk right by the Eastside Farmers Market. So I'm just taking a minute to thank God for all of the wonderful food that we have to enjoy. Thank God for farmers and ask for favorable weather and safety in this time of harvest. And also remember all those who are hungry, who maybe don't have enough to eat. And also thinking of the students who usually come to our Taste of Grace lunch on campus and asking God to bless them in this time. All right, now I'm in front of the elementary school in my neighborhood, and it is of course empty. There aren't any students here because of the pandemic. So I'm just stopping to say a quick prayer for teachers of all kinds and all people who are trying to adapt to like a new way of life in the middle of this pandemic. And also for parents of school-aged kids and kids themselves as they're going through a new kind of school year that's just totally different, and that's a lot of changes, and thinking about how lonely those students must be, how hard it must be to be in front of a computer all day, things like that. So just stopping to say a quick prayer for all of them. All right, well, here I am by Lake Monona. I'm at BB Clark Beach, another place in my neighborhood. I pretty much walk by the lake every single time I go out with Olive, whether I'm praying or not. And I like to just take a moment to remember the way that God uses water to nourish us, not just physically, but for me also the way that water is something that is calming. It gives me a sense of peace, and also just remembering my baptism, and that it's through water that God calls us to be God's beloved children, and promises that we are a part of God's work in the world. So I just take a moment here to remember my baptism and also to give thanks to God for the gift of water. All right, now I'm standing in front of Emmanuel Lutheran Church, a church here in my neighborhood. And as I was walking by, I was just giving thanks for communities of faith during this time, and especially for this community of faith right here, praying for their pastor and their members and all who are a part of this community. And then I also stopped to pray for my own community of faith. I really miss being in church, in singing and hearing the hymns sung together. I miss taking the Eucharist. So thinking about all the ways that I miss being with my own community, and taking a minute to give thanks to God for those parts of my life, and look forward to the time when we'll be able to be together again. All right, here I am back at Orton Park where I started, and my prayer walk is pretty much over here. I'm about to head home. I thought I'd share just a couple of thoughts about this practice before we're done. Intercessory prayer is probably the kind of prayer that we are taught as children to start out with, right? God, please help so-and-so, please be with so-and-so. But it's something that I have a hard time doing in my life. I don't take a lot of time to enumerate the people who I want God to be close with. And I also just kind of get sidetracked easily. So walking can be a way that I'm able to stay focused on that. Sometimes I speak my own prayers to God, sort of making up words in my head. But sometimes what's easier for me is to use sort of a mantra as I pray. I'll pause and I will think to myself, peace be upon them, or may God bless them. And so you see a lot of people when you're out for a walk. And so that's an easy way to pray for others as you walk. Now the weather's going to get cold, so it's going to be hard to go outside for a while. But another kind of intercessory prayer that sometimes people do, or you could do, is you could pray with a map. You could maybe pray with a map of the globe, and you could look at different countries or regions, and you could pray for things that you know are in need there. Or maybe when you open the New York Times on your phone in the morning and you see that map that shows where coronavirus is really bad, you pray for the places that are most in need when you see that map. So that could be a way that you go on sort of a virtual prayer walk. And then I guess the last thing that I wanted to share was just there's a really famous quote from Soren Kierkegaard where he says, prayer doesn't change God, it changes the one who prays. And I think that one of the benefits of this kind of prayer isn't so much that God's going to swoop in and make coronavirus go away, or solve the problem of all the people who are hungry in our society or anything like that, but that by doing this kind of prayer, at the end of the day, I am just a lot more aware of others and aware of the world around me, and how I wish for God to bring God's reign on earth, and then how I might be being called as God's child to be a part of God's work for justice and mercy and peace in the world. So I really appreciate you going on this prayer walk with me today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope that you'll give this prayer practice a try in your own life as well. See you later.